has no money.
Exactly. So blockchain sucks. Let me tell you why I think blockchain sucks, and then if I miss something, you could pile on. I think it's the world's most expensive, slowest database.
Yep.
I don't actually think it's that reliable. So people say Bitcoin has 99% uptime. It's not actually true. When there's a hard fork, all the exchanges and all the people of merit stop accepting it until the hard fork gets resolved because they don't want to be on the wrong side of the fork and lose a lot of money to a double spend or an orphaning. So it's not actually 99.9% uptime, although in theory, I guess if you're okay taking the risk of being orphaned off, then I guess it is. It does invisible data rot. So if you write data to the blockchain, you don't know whether that data just disappeared or not because you don't know whether it got orphaned or not. So you manually have to run your own.
Throw it into the network and it might get accepted in the next block.
Well, it might get accepted and then unaccepted. So there are orphaned blocks at the end where two people will find a valid hash and roll their version of the chain and reward themselves a block reward. And when that happens, one of them has to be orphaned away because they're both valid and they both saw the network at the same time. And so emergently, one of them has to be authoritative and the other one just gets orphaned away like it never happened. And this happens constantly in Ethereum because of 10-second blocks, but it's built for that.
Ethereum does that uncle mechanism, which is like, it's a hack, but it's a bit of a kludge, but it's like...
Works awesome.
Well,
it works.
Yeah.
I mean, 10-second blocks is awesome.
Blockchain state is a bit of a dubious concept at times, but it sort of shambles along. I mean,
it works,
Ethereum's another one that's really technically interesting.
Yeah, I think Ethereum's amazing, and it wasn't amazing 2 years ago. It is amazing now. So I'll finish talking about why blockchains suck in general. So if you don't need censorship resistance, you should never, ever, ever, ever use a blockchain ever. And if you don't take my word for it, take the NIST, the National Institute of Standards in the United States, that runs the world's most accurate atomic clock, sets the time for the United States, sets the security parameters for the intelligence services. Those guys say that you should only use a blockchain if you need censorship resistance, and they made a flowchart for it, and you can Google NIST flowchart blockchain, and you'll find that it's just a very horrible, very slow, expensive database that has one advantage, and it is censorship resistance, and that's it. So unless you're doing a currency, you probably do not need a blockchain. No one's trying to censor your...
That's the only use case is a cryptocurrency. And like that has its own problems. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's a fascinating idea, but interesting is not the same as feasible or a good idea. Those are different things. And I think a lot of things about Bitcoin, you could really tell that this was the first paper and string mock-up to prove that this idea was even possible.
Right. Well, he built the code before he published the white paper.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
And the white paper sort of describes the code a bit. But
not the inflation amount, though. The halvening and the 50 block reward, it's not in there. And that's kind of important.
And this stuff isn't just a white paper. It's not even just Satoshi's words. It's a subculture,
Right. Yep. Yeah, right. I'm part of it. I agree. 100%.
So
what is blockchain good at? I mean, so did I miss anything? So it's slow, it's expensive, it has invisible data rot. You got to verify that what you thought you wrote stayed wrote for like long enough time that you don't think it can be rolled back. And then even in that case, when somebody sends a single transaction with like $1 billion in it, and Nick Szabo himself will tell you, the blockchain does not offer that service. You shouldn't do it. You're risking the security of the network because it is profitable for some miner to roll that transaction out. Like spread your transactions. Don't do a single $1 billion transaction. It breaks the security model. People don't realize that this stuff is secure because of the game theory. And if you don't play within the parameters of the game theory, you can get your ass bit.
Yeah, and there's also the fact that it naturally centralizes because
kind of
decentralization is expensive.
Yeah,
things tend to centralize because it's more efficient. It's less robust, but it's more efficient.
Yep.
And it was a nice trick trying to say, let's make the decentralization work by capitalism. But one thing capitalism is super good at is optimizing out anything that costs money.
Vertical integration. Agree.
And so by 2014, we had a 51% on one miner. And they backed off because they didn't want to break the system. But
maybe they did. You don't really know. You'll never know that they actually backed off because it's pseudo-anonymous. Yeah.
When you can have 80% of mining pools standing on one stage together, that's not robustly decentralized, I would say.
No, it's not, and it's all in China, and China has a great firewall, and they could turn those ports off, or just send drone strikes to anywhere that they notice a node running. It's. I believe that much of what blockchain people think is security theater. So, for instance, mining. Yeah, the bugs that we have in Bitcoin have come from actual bugs. They haven't come from hash rate problems. Hash rate used to be a defense against attackers when anyone could become attacker. So when Bitcoin was on CPU, hash rate protected you from other botnets attacking. When Bitcoin was on GPU, it protected you from other botnets attacking. But now that Bitcoin's on SHA-256, there aren't any SHA-256 botnets. The only people that have SHA-256 hardware are the miners that you're paying, and therefore you're paying the people that you don't want to attack you. It's a protection racket. You're not paying to protect yourself from another class. You're paying to protect yourself from the very people that you're paying. That sucks. And then what do they do with the money that they make?
And since it also is fundamentally, it's protection against the tax, against the problem that you only have because the system's set up that way. It feels really self-inflicted.
It's like signaling. I mean, proof of work has existed in the animal kingdom for millions of years. It's why we have colorful feathers and weird dances.
That's true.
And so, you have to have a signaling cost to verify that the signal that you got was authentic. If it were free, you'd get infinite signals and you wouldn't know which one was the true one. So proof of work, it is rooted in what has worked in biology, and it's rooted in what works in game theory. And it's the only thing that we've found so far that is a little bit more robust. I think proof of stake can work because the attacks even if proof of stake was an inferior system, it's because the attacks are so rare and so sparse and so hard for people to actually profit from. You don't actually need this fan fiction level of security that people think that you need because the attacks are so few. Like Dogecoin, when's the last time you heard of Dogecoin getting attacked? It's worth $300 million. Why isn't anyone attacking it? It's got less hash rate,
It's still on GPUs.
I like GPU mining. That's how I got into Bitcoin, and it's how, I don't know if you know this, but I founded a cryptocurrency, and it runs on Ethereum, and I think GPU mining is more distributed. I think it's less centralized. I think it's not a protection racket. And I love the fact that they're willing to get rid of the GPU. They're willing to get rid of the ASICs. If an ASIC finds a way to optimize to mine ET hash, which some of them have now, they're working on just, first off, getting rid of all mining entirely using Casper. And second off, changing the proof of work to get rid of those ASIC guys because they're the opposite of the game. They're centralized. We don't want centralized.
That said, Ethereum's mining is even less decentralized than Bitcoin's. It's like got larger and fewer pools even than Bitcoin.
I'd have to verify that.
Actually, I'd have to look. Didn't look it up recently, but last I looked, it did.
Okay.
It was like,
because I advertise the opposite. I advertise it as being more distributed because you can do it on GPU. But if the GPU farms have now canceled that out through vertical integration, then maybe I have to revisit that.
I don't know. It's much the same sort of problem. It isn't actually substantially more decentralized in practice, I think.
Right.
I don't know if they'll ever manage the proof of stake transition. It's been coming soon for 6 months for 5 years.
Yep. I like that turn of phrase. That's a good one. Coming soon for 6 months for 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that if they do go proof of stake, the trouble with proof of stake is it's really obviously them's what has gets.
Yeah, I know.
So I think it will, I predict, I could be wrong, I think it'll centralize more and Ethereum will essentially become even more cartel-like. Like we already have things like, I forget the name of it. It's a thing that consensus operates that basically transactions and mining go through. I forget what it's called. It starts with I.
I'm not sure. I don't think you could get more centralized because how many places can you buy mining hardware for Bitcoin now? 3?
Something like that.
Okay. And then where it's all done 65% in China and 42% of all coins is held under 2,000 addresses. You're like, I mean, I don't know how you could get much more centralized. It's the Ethereum ecosystem is totally different from the Bitcoin ecosystem. The Ethereum guys keep pushing new updates and new code and have their eyes on huge advances in some things. This is what I mean about Ethereum having changed in the last 2 years. Those dreams, like sharding and Casper and things like that, they were just dreams. They have a lot of stuff in production now that isn't dreams anymore. So if you want anonymity, they've got ZK rollup, or they've got ZK snarks running, working on Tornado.cash. So you can anonymize your Ethereum if you want. Bitcoin doesn't have that. Ethereum has it now. If you want ZK rollups with just 100x to 1000x TPS throughput, that's now. It's working now. It's not like, oh, we have to fork something, we have to do something. You don't have to do anything. It works immediately right this second. So we've got...
The thing about Ethereum is it's not just the coin, Ether, although that's just a tradable commodity like Bitcoins. It's the fact that Ethereum's a platform, and that's where they're really interested it is.
Dude, it's amazing. Like,
this is why I think that, one, if they go proof of stake, it'll centralize even more. And two, that doesn't matter because that just provides a stable platform for people to do things on. And businesses are quite used to working on open but owned platforms.
Right. I know what you mean.
Like all the Windows software in the world is the obvious example.
Yeah. So take something that's one of the largest pain points in crypto, exchanges. You give them your money, and you hope and beg and plead and pray that they actually give you what you want in return, whether it be coins or your money back. And a lot of times they don't. They go, oh, thanks for the money. But, we're not actually going to send that back to you until you give us a selfie and a bank account copy and your address. And, maybe even after you give us all that stuff, we still don't like you. We don't like where your coins have been or where you might send them. And so it's disgusting. Like, crypto is designed to get rid of counterparties. That's its only claim to fame. It's what it was designed to do. Now people are recreating the thing that we're trying to kill. They're recreating the banks by making these exchanges. Exchanges have like 12% of all the coins on them. And they lose hundreds of millions of dollars every year or two.
The crippling problem for the crypto economy is that there isn't really a crypto economy. There is very little economic activity conducted fully in cryptos, even if you take all of them. It's not.
I would say 5%. Darknet's real, and it's about 5% of total market cap probably.